Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we dig into complex ideas, surprising facts, all to help you become truly well-informed. Today, we're taking a really interesting deep dive into two, well, iconic books. They're separated by decades, but they offer these distinct, yet maybe surprisingly complementary paths to success and, a fulfilling life. We're talking Napoleon Hill's 1937 classic, Think and Grow Rich, and then Timothy Ferriss's, modern manifesto, The 4-Hour Workweek. Our mission today is pretty straightforward. Pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the key insights from these sources, help you understand their core ideas, and maybe see how they might apply in your own journey.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing how these two, from such different times, really tackle similar kind of universal principles of ambition, achievement.
Absolutely. And, that sets up our big question for today. Can the wisdom from a 20th century giant like Andrew Carnegie passed down through Napoleon Hill, can that really line up with the agile digital age strategies of Tim Ferriss's, quote, New Rich?
That is the question. How do they fit together, if at all?
Let's unpack it. Okay, so we'll start our deep dive with Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. The backstory here is pretty legendary.
It really is.
Napoleon Hill was apparently tasked by Andrew Carnegie himself. Spent over 20 years putting together this philosophy of money-making.
Yeah, Carnegie wanted the guide, based on the most successful guys of that era.
And the book, it promises right up front to tell you what to do and how to do I. Very direct.
But here's where it gets interesting and maybe a bit counterintuitive. Despite that promise, the book talks about this specific secret more than 100 times, but never actually names it. Hill kind of suggests it works best when you, the reader, sort of uncover it yourself.
So it's not just handed to you.
Exactly.
No.
And maybe the real genius isn't what the secret is, but the way he makes you look for it. It's like the act of seeking, of internalizing these ideas yourself, makes them stick way more than just being told.
That's a clever psychological angle.
It really is. It makes you an active participant,
And he gives this incredible example of the secret in action, right? The Charles M. Schwab story.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge one. Hill lays it out. Schwab, a young man at the time, uses this secret to basically dream up and then execute the creation of U.S. Steel.
Which was massive.
Huge. And Hill puts a number on. It says that one application was worth something like $600 million back then.
Wow.
And his point is stark. Riches start as a thought, an idea, and the only limit is the person thinking it. Really drives home the power of just thinking the right way.
So stepping back, this really underlines Hill's core belief, doesn't it? Your mental state, your thoughts, that's ground zero for building wealth.
Absolutely. And then he breaks it down into 13 steps. The very first one, definite desire.
Right, not just any desire.
No, he hammers this point home.
Yeah.
Weak desires, weak results. Like a tiny fire doesn't give off much heat. It has to be this burning, definite thing.
He uses some great stories for that, like Edwin C. Barnes. Didn't know Edison, had no money for a train ticket, but had this absolute burning desire to work with Edison, not just for him, with him.
Yeah, and he burned all bridges, right? Just showed up and wouldn't leave until he got his shot. Persistence fueled by that intense desire.
And then there's the other story, R.U. Darby, the guy who stopped digging.
Oh, the 3 feet from gold guy. Brutal lesson.
Brutal. But he learned from it, apparently. Became a top insurance salesman later because he swore he'd never stop because men say no.
And wasn't there something about a kid teaching him persistence too?
Yeah, that's a strange little anecdote. He saw this young black girl just stand her ground with her uncle until she got 50 cents. Darby saw it as this deliberate mastery of an adult by a child. And it reinforced his idea of just keeping on, keeping on. Makes you think, like you said, how often do we bail just before things turn around?
It's a really powerful question. Okay, so you've got this intense desire. What's next in Hill's plan?
Next up is building belief. He calls it faith and autosuggestion.
Right, faith not just in a religious sense, but faith in yourself, in your goal.
Exactly. He calls faith a state of mind. You can basically induce or program using autosuggestion. It's the eternal elixir, giving life and power to your thoughts.
And the flip side is crucial too, isn't it?
Yeah.
He warns that your subconscious mind takes any thought, positive or negative, and works to make it real.
Yeah, it's a serious warning. Which brings us to that tragic story of Joseph Grant, the bank official.
Oh, that's a grim one.
Yeah.
He just kept repeating negative thoughts about disgrace after the bank failed.
My God, this will kill me. I cannot stand the disgrace.
And Hill says he basically committed mental suicide in days, died from the negativity. It's extreme, but it really highlights the subconscious mind's power. Scary,
Which
almost.
definitely makes you want to watch your thoughts. Okay, so desire, faith. What about knowledge?
Ah, yes, specialized knowledge. But Hill makes a really key distinction here.
Which is?
He says, and this is so important, knowledge is only potential power.
Okay, potential power.
It only becomes actual power when and if it's organized into definite plans and aimed at a definite goal. Just knowing stuff isn't enough.
That makes sense. He points to Edison and Ford.
Right. Exactly. Edison, 3 months of school. Ford, maybe 6th grade, yet obviously immense success.
So it's not about diplomas, necessarily.
Not solely, no. It's about organizing knowledge, applying it, often, Hill says, through a mastermind group, getting minds working together in harmony. Carnegie apparently credited his whole fortune to his mastermind group.
Interesting. Okay, so you've got desire, faith, specialized knowledge. Now you need a plan.
Precisely. Step 4. Organize planning and marketing personal services. This is where desire starts becoming action.
Crystallizing it.
Yes. And he gets practical here. Tells you how to sell your personal services, like creating a detailed resume or brief, even offering to work on probation to show you're confident.
And he warns against starting at the bottom. That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, he argues it can kill ambition, give you a view of only the struggles. He suggests aiming higher from the start. Controversial, maybe, but that's his take.
Okay. Before we move on from Hill, he talks a lot about fear, right?
Oh, absolutely. The 6 basic fears, big part of the book. Poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
And the fear of criticism really stood out. He says it's almost as common as fearing poverty.
Yeah, and that it just destroys initiative and discourages imagination. People are so afraid of what others will think.
He even admits he felt it himself when Carnegie first proposed the whole book project, that 20-year commitment.
Right, facing potential ridicule for decades.
So what's his answer to overcoming these fears?
It's pretty direct. Mastery through decision. Decisiveness.
Just decide.
Pretty much. He says indecision is the seedling of fear. It grows into doubt. So the cure is to make firm decisions. Like decide to handle whatever money you have without worry, to conquer the fear of poverty.
Take control internally. Don't let fear run the show.
That's the essence of it.
Okay, so Hill gives us this really robust, almost century-old blueprint for mastering your inner world to get external results, mainly riches.
Yeah, a very influential framework.
But now, let's jump forward. Fast forward to, well, our time. Tim Ferriss, the 4-hour work week. Does Hill's wisdom still hold up? How does Ferriss change the game?
It's a fascinating jump. Ferriss comes at it from a completely different angle yet.
Yeah.
There are echoes. His core idea. People don't really want $1 million.
Right, they want the lifestyle they think $1 million buy.
Exactly, the lifestyle of complete freedom. And his new rich, the NR, they're the ones who ditch the old work till you're 65, then retire plan.
The deferred life plan, he calls it.
Yeah. Instead, they create these luxury lifestyles now in the present. And their currency isn't just money, it's time and mobility.
Time and mobility, that's key. And a big part of that is ditching the single big retirement, right?
Totally. He pushes mini retirements, spreading periods of freedom and adventure throughout your life, not saving it all for the end.
So like bursts of intense work, then focus time off for travel or learning.
Precisely. He aims for something like 1 month of overseas relocation or high-intensity learning for every 2 months of work.
And he has examples of people doing this.
Oh, yeah. Dale Bakesmith, the Olympic skier who funded his training with an internet company, he started at 13.
Wow, 13.
Or Jean-Marc, who by 48 had already banked 20 years of partial retirement. It really makes you question the standard model.
And financially, he argues it can actually be cheaper.
Sometimes, yeah. Renting an apartment somewhere cheap for a month can cost less than staying home with high bills, or definitely less than a typical short vacation in an expensive hotel.
Interesting. So if time and mobility are the currency, how does he measure wealth? Not just annual income, right?
No, absolutely not. He champions relative income. It's all about your hourly rate.
Okay, explain that.
So someone making $50 a year, but only working 10 hours a week, that's $100 an hour.
Got it.
Someone making $100, double the salary, but working 80 hours a week, that's only $25 an hour.
So the $50K person is 4 times richer in Ferriss's terms.
Exactly. It completely flips how you think about income and work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's about the value of your time.
Okay, that's a powerful reframe. Now, similar to Hill tackling fear, Ferriss has his own method, doesn't he? Fear setting.
Yes. This is huge for him.
Yeah.
Instead of vague anxiety stopping you, you actively define your fears. What's the absolute worst-case scenario if you take that leap?
And usually it's not as bad as you imagine.
Often, no.
Oh.
Or at least it's manageable or reversible. He insists what we most fear doing is what we most need to do. Fear setting gets you past that paralysis.
He tells the story of Hans, the lawyer.
Yeah, great example. Burned out lawyer, hits strike 3, realizes he can't keep doing this, quits his job.
Did his fear-setting exercise?
Right. Figured out the risks weren't actually that catastrophic, and then completely changed his life, started a surf company in Brazil.
That's living the dream for some people.
It came from facing the fear. Ferriss really pushes this idea of the cost of inaction. He says basically, if you look ahead 10 years, and you know your current path leads to regret, and if risk means an irreversible negative outcome, then staying put, doing nothing. That's the biggest risk of all.
Wow, that hits hard. Okay, so Ferriss has this whole framework for achieving this new rich lifestyle. Deal, right?
Yep, deal, definition, elimination, automation, liberation. Though we've kind of covered definition with the new rich idea, let's jump to E.
E for elimination.
This is critical. The goal isn't just efficiency, doing more faster. It's getting rid of the unimportant stuff entirely.
That quote, perfection is achieved not when there's nothing more to add.
But when there is nothing left to take away.
Exactly. Less is more.
And the key tool here is the 80-20 rule. Pareto.
Absolutely. The Pareto principle.
Yeah.
The idea that roughly 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts.
Or customers, or tasks.
Right. Ferriss applied it brutally to his own business. Had 120 wholesale customers. Realized just 5 of them generated 95% of the revenue.
Wow, only 5. Yeah. So what did he do? He basically stopped chasing the other 115, who were causing almost all the headaches anyway. He fired them, focused only on the vital few.
That takes guts. How do you apply that day to day?
He suggests limiting yourself to maybe 1 or 2 truly crucial tasks each day. Ask yourself that question. If this is the only thing I get done today, will I be satisfied?
Focuses the mind.
Totally. And he also advocates a low-information diet. Stop consuming so much news and random info. It's mostly time-wasting, negative, and stuff you can't control anyway.
Ouch. Hits close to home for many of us, I bet. What about interruptions?
Huge time suck. So, batch things. Check email maybe twice a day, definitely not first thing. Keep meetings short, like 30 minutes max, with clear agendas and end times.
Learn to say no.
Learn to say no, or find polite ways to deflect people who just eat up your time. Elimination is ruthless but necessary.
Okay, ruthlessly eliminate. Then comes A, automation.
Yes, setting things up so they run without you. Outsourcing. Building systems.
This is where virtual assistants come in. VAs.
Big time. VAs can do almost anything remotely. Manage your email, book travel, do research, handle customer service. Even, like that Esquire editor A.J. Jacobs did, manage your worry list.
Seriously, manage your worries?
Apparently. The point isn't always saving money by DIY. It's freeing up your time and mental energy for higher value things.
Yeah.
You could even use VAs and tech to make a tiny operation seem much bigger.
Like virtual receptionists, automated phone menus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Create that professional front. And then there's the idea of creating muses.
Muses.
Yeah, business is designed from the ground up to run on autopilot. Often involves things like drop shipping, where someone else handles inventory and fulfillment, and payments are automated.
So you're not packing boxes in your garage.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
And he highlights information products as a great news candidate.
Why info products?
Low cost to create, quick to manufacture or deliver digitally, hard for competitors to copy easily, and you can often charge high markups, like 20x or even 50x the cost.
So packaging what you know.
Pretty much. Yeah. And you don't have to be the world's top expert. Just know more than your target audience. He suggests ways to establish credibility quickly, like joining trade groups, using ATRO to answer reporter queries.
Hero, help a reporter out.
Yeah. Get quoted as an expert, build that perception.
Okay, eliminate, automate. Then L is for liberation.
This is the end game for many using his system. Getting free from the traditional job, firing your boss, or at least achieving location independence and performance-based freedom.
Usually through negotiating remote work.
That's often the path. He gives tips, like proving your value by boosting productivity before you ask, maybe even holding back some improvements to show a big jump during a remote trial.
Strategic.
Very. And if you hit resistance, use those magic questions for negotiation.
Like, what would I need to do?
To work remotely, or under what circumstances would you allow remote work? Put the ball in their court.
And he tries to deflate the fear around quitting, right?
Yeah, he argues it's rarely as permanent or disastrous as people think. Options almost always exist. Don't let that fear lock you in.
So once you've dealt your way to more time and freedom, what then? Avoid the void.
Right. Filling the void is crucial. What do you do with all this free time? He's big on learning, especially languages. Says it sharpens thinking, helps understand culture, claims adults can get conversational in 6 months.
6 months. Impressive.
And service, too. Doing something meaningful beyond just optimizing your own life.
But there are pitfalls, right? Mistakes the new rich make.
Oh, yeah. He lists them. Falling back into work for work's sake, just staying busy, micromanaging your VAs or your muse, chasing endless perfection, letting small problems become huge dramas.
Got to keep perspective.
Exactly. He says, life is too short to waste, but it's also too long to be a pessimist or nihilist. Find that balance. Find real purpose.
Okay, so we've gone through Hill, we've gone through Ferris. Let's try to connect the dots. What's the intersection here?
Well, the most striking thing, I think, is that despite the decades and the different approaches, industrial age versus digital age, both fundamentally agree on the incredible power of your mind.
Mindset as the master key.
Totally.
Perfect.
For Hill, it's about directing thought impulses, definite desire, using faith and autosuggestion to command the subconscious and get, well, traditional riches.
Right.
For Ferris, it's maybe more about using mental tools like fear setting to break through paralysis and setting unrealistic goals to generate that adrenaline and focus needed to escape the norm.
But both paths start internally, controlling your thoughts to shape your reality.
Absolutely. And the other huge common thread, action.
Action over inaction.
Yes, Hill's mantra. A winner never quits, Ferris warns. Tomorrow becomes never, no matter how small the task. Take the first step now.
So ideas are great, mindset is crucial, but without persistent, organized action.
They just stay dreams. Both are incredibly insistent on doing the work, even if Ferris wants you to do less work overall by being smarter about it.
Okay, so how should someone listening try to synthesize this? How do we redefine success today, using both?
That's a great question for everyone listening. What does wealth or success truly mean to you personally? Hill gives us that classic foundation ambition, wealth accumulation. Ferris builds on it, expands the definition of riches to include time, freedom, mobility now.
Challenging that old idea that you have to defer enjoyment.
Exactly. So maybe it's about figuring out your own definition. Is it pure financial wealth? Is it time freedom? Is it experiences? It probably varies for everyone.
And applying knowledge seems key to both as well.
Definitely. Remember, Hill said knowledge is only potential power. It needs organization and application.
Right.
And Ferris essentially provides a modern toolkit for how to apply knowledge, eliminate the fluff, automate what you can, leverage specialized knowledge, yours or someone else's via outsourcing, to build that freedom.
So Hill lays the mental foundation. Ferris provides the operational tactics for the modern world.
That's a pretty good way to look at it, yeah. Two sides of the same coin, maybe, adapted for different eras, but rooted in similar principles of mindset and action.
Okay. We've covered a lot of ground here, dug into two really powerful, though different, philosophies for success and designing a life with purpose.
From Think and Grow Rich to the 4-Hour Work Week.
Whether you feel more drawn to Hill's enduring principles or Ferris's, agile strategies, the core message seems pretty clear. Your mindset combined with definite, persistent action, that's really your biggest asset.
It really comes down to that internal drive and the willingness to execute.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something to think about, building on that Ferris quote about risk. If we define risk as the likelihood of an irreversible negative outcome, then maybe inaction, just staying stuck where you are because you're afraid of change. Maybe that is the greatest risk of all in the long run.
A really provocative thought to end on.
So the question for you is, what small, maybe uncomfortable step will you take today, right now, to move just a little bit closer to the life you actually desire?